So how do you get started with estate planning? It's a difficult discussion, and we put it off a lot. And how do you kind of get past that? I'm Michael Redden again, and we're going to talk about this today. If you have any questions, or if there are some specific things that are keeping you from planning, put them in a comment down below. If you want to get started and you want to get past those things and you want to plan yourself for your family, click on the link in the description or go to reddenlawoffice.com, click on schedule a planning session, and you can get on my calendar right there, either the phone or in person. So a lot of folks know they need to have an estate plan, but they say things like, I just don't want to think about it, it's not fun to think about, or I don't have a lot of time and I've got to fill out these sheets and things that are all about me. And they kind of use those things to not get moving forward. And especially for married couples, I'd say, think back to when you were first setting up your life and things together, right? One of the things you did was you decided, do I have a joint bank account? How are we going to handle money? You had that difficult debt conversation and things like that. When the kids are born, you spoke about their names, and at least once or twice you thought, if something happens to me, where should the kids go? And you talked about it a little bit. So the discussion's already kind of there. You just got to make it formal. And one of the things about estate planning and drawing up documents is we can talk about these things and we might do it from time to time, but the moment that we start putting it down in writing, it gets real. It's a commitment. But it's a commitment that we need to do. It's a commitment we need to, as a discussion we need to have, and you got to just get started and get through that. When you come up with difficult discussions like disagreeing on who should get the kids or where things should go, that's when you need the help of a professional more than ever. And you really should be speaking to an attorney or someone else to kind of guide you through that. But as always, with most discussions and most things in life, we should probably start with that end in mind. Everyone gives you that advice, and I can tell you that if something were to happen, then your family and everyone's going to be much better off having that plan in place, not having to go wonder what's going to happen or what they're going to do, having those discussions, and they just go into motion and execute the plan out. When they're grieving and when stress is there, it makes it easier on them and everyone else. And you might be surprised, if you haven't talked about these things, what the feelings are of your spouse, the feelings are of your family, and what they kind of are wondering about. Now, I'm not suggesting sometimes that you bring them in on the discussion of who gets what money and things, but if it's a sentimental item or things like that, or if it's sentimental things such as, how your health's going to be done or those last moments, it's much easier to sit down and talk about that and just have a discussion now than it is to be in the heat of it and have to make that decision and everyone's emotions are high. So like everything else, it needs to be done. You just got to start that discussion. And some of my clients will make this process protracted out. We'll start the discussion, some time will pass, and then they'll come back and we'll finish it. But they get started. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. If you don't have these things, get started and move along through it, because estate plans are just one part of planning in life. And if you own a business or anything like that, it's even more important, because there's a lot of other things that need to move, and you need to have planning that occurs during your lifetime, and you need to keep up with that so that things can do well and flourish. So don't let those things get in the way. Start the discussion. Even if you don't make any kinds of commitments yet, start the discussion. Let everyone start to put their feelings out and their wishes out so you can kind of deal with them. Because sometimes if we don't know how we feel, it's not until we start talking about it and letting it simmer and settle for a little bit that we actually come to those decisions. And just approach it like any other important decision in life, whether it's buying a house, getting married, or something like that. It's just as important. So again, if you have any comments or anything, leave them below. If you want to get started with planning or anything like that, click on the link. Or go to reddenlawoffice.com, click schedule a planning session. You'll go right there and get to select a time on my calendar. Thank you.